The ability to experience mindgasms is probably one of the most significant and rewarding aspects of my current existence. I can't say how long I've had them for. I've definitely had them all of my adult life, and I can't remember back to childhood to say exactly how that would have played out. A mindgasm isn't emotional and it's not sexual, but it is pleasurable. I'll describe it as a cognitive high, and they're something that can't be forced. They have to occur naturally. I will explain. A mindgasm usually occurs when there's a connection between ideas. It's linked to connecting the dots within the mind in a way that brings clarity or deeper understanding. It can be similar to solving a puzzle, or like basically connecting the dots in a way that brings forth the feeling of new insight. Now, these insights aren't necessarily going to be narrative, so it's not always something that's concrete. Sometimes the insights can be quite abstract and intangible. At other times, they are related to real world occurrences or real world issues. A lot of schizoids are geared up psychologically towards engaging in a high degree of problem solving. You could compare the mindgasm to that eureka moment. They cannot be chased and they cannot be forced. It has to come through a natural process of thinking, and because it's not possible to know when they're going to happen, when they happen, they feel all the more meaningful and all the more welcome because it's not something that can be forced. I think that the reason why they're so important to me is because I have anhedonia, and so I'm not going to derive pleasure from the typical things that most people derive pleasure from. I'm pretty emotionally muted, and so I don't get many emotional highs. So therefore, pleasure isn't going to come from emotional sources. In terms of physicality, also linked to the anhedonia, which is a reduced ability to feel pleasure, I'm not going to get so much enjoyment from the physical world, like engaging in tasks and activities that a lot of people find mentally or emotionally satisfying. And so the fact that I'm able to have mindgasms is like really, really important to me, because that is where my main source of pleasure is coming from in life. I don't sit around like waiting to have a mindgasm, and also I don't really like think about whether another one's gonna come or not. I've just noticed over time that they do come. There's gonna be some times where you can have more mindgasms than at other times. However, it's not something that really is gonna happen like one after the other. It's difficult to say because they're gonna vary in intensity depending on the sort of connections that are being made, and also like how long maybe you've been subconsciously or consciously kind of gearing up towards finding a particular answer. It's not always about answers, though it is linked to problem solving. Sometimes it's just about novel insights that don't particularly solve any sort of problem, but at the same time, they do generate a sense of understanding on some level or another about maybe the function of the world or the function of oneself, or just sometimes just linking different concepts together in a sort of a fusion that creates greater potential for theoretical exploration. There's a lot of different routes to the mindgasm, but it's always like a pinnacle experience. It's like the point on the top of the triangle. And in those moments, there can be a real sense of fulfillment or wholeness, and it can make existence feel worthwhile, like that there is a reason to be here, and that there is something worthwhile taking place within us. So during the times where there isn't a lot of mental activity, or there is mental activity but not necessarily a culmination of ideas or a definite direction or a definite path emerging, there's always a sense of like kind of forward thinking or anticipation on kind of an underlying level, that even when nothing seems to be happening, that something is happening. Because of past experiences with mindgasms, I can look back at times where I reached a point of high level understanding. The ideas, thoughts, concepts were connecting within my mind, and then I came to a new realization, and I can look back throughout time and I can plot those points, and it showed me that there is a path emerging, even if I can't see where the next point of the path is going to be. Mindgasms. I think I've explained mindgasms now. I think it makes sense that if you're someone who lives in your head and you rely on internal processing for stimulation, that the main source of pleasure is going to come from within.